Yo, what is good, my anime people? What is good, yo? Season the finale of Goblin Slayer. Oh my. Um, my worst fears have been answered, and it seems like the criticism of the first couple episodes where everybody was talking about Goblin Slayer for more of the worse than better. Um, people were really concerned about how the show was going to continue on, and I think that is mainly a lot of reason of why some of the people that were watching and were reviewing were just waiting for those types of moments. And since they never came, the show didn't get that much more popular, or in the sense for them to be talking about controversy and stuff like that. So I feel like Goblin Slayer definitely fell off compared to what was happening already, simply because of there just wasn't as much stuff in it that started the show, and people. I think that's what people wanted the whole time. So if you take that into consideration, you're gonna go into Goblin Slayer expecting a lot of brutal stuff, and I think the creators of the anime were pretty knowing of how dark the manga truly is, and they definitely didn't go full. They didn't go full in there, and because if they did, we would have saw more stuff just like how we did with this week, with just literally one goblin who was a baby who was spared by a woman, and then next thing you know becomes the Lord and remembers like every woman that he's ever like destroyed pretty much, or let uh, build his empire to all the way to the case where he learns some broken up English so he can talk his way out of death, which makes a lot of sense because the only way he got out of death the very first time with his whole entire life is he was a baby and he wasn't killed. So I mean, it would only make sense that um, being like in that situation, you would definitely learn something that other goblins didn't, and that would be to want to live, to be envious of, being a loser, but at the same time wanting to win. So, um, I think this Goblin Lord got it pretty bad when it came down to actual death, man. Holy crap. That boy got destroyed. um, and for good cause too. I'm glad he got destroyed for all the things he was doing and he was going to continue to do by trying to trick the priestess into releasing the barrier just so he can attack. So these are the types of things that get these goblins killed relatively quick, and now we all know why. So not only did that happen, seeing Guts in this week's episode was absolutely hype. I mean, they literally got him doing the sword swing. They got him doing the punching. I mean, this man has the most potential of being just like a straight up Guts in this anime. And I love that. Because it kind of calls back to what everybody's saying about the show. That's what I say this show, like the animators were like self-aware of what people were saying, and not only were the people who are animating this show know that, the people who made, or at least some of the drawers, some of the writers, and just everybody who worked on the manga kind of probably knew that people were comparing this show to Guts, and just like the dark atmosphere that show brings, and how excuse me, and how any type of monster and any type of being can be the antagonist of the whole entire story if you allow them to be. And in that case, in Guts' case anyway, anybody who gets possessed by a demon was that evil person, and in this case, anybody who's a goblin or anybody who falls under the same category as the goblin, as like monster, they're catching it, So It's really has that feel to it, but at the same time, it's definitely its own show. And when I say it's its own show, it's because Berserk and stuff, they didn't really believe in good gods. You know, they kind of just see the only gods we truly know about are the gods who are the god hands. We know nothing about people who, you know, consider themselves as like angels or heavenly gods. They are all like demonic gods in Berserk. So, in this anime, they went with the whole um, God is watching over them and stuff like that. But what gods were doing were just rolling the dice to have fun. They were just doing this so whatever events were taking place, they could change them. And I think because of that, it made the show feel like they were going in a line of direction where these gods could feel somewhat opposed. Like, you literally have a human that's not supposed to do anything, not supposed to become anything great, and didn't expect him to do anything great. And what he's doing is creating a whole army of adventurers who will stand up and protect anything that they see needing protecting, including if the Goblinslayer is behind them. Um, the other thing that kind of might make people mad about this show is not only that it's going to continue, because Goblinslayer will return at the end of the credits, but Goblinslayer wants to be an adventurer now. And if he wants to be an adventurer, that would mean he wouldn't, you know, necessarily just hunt goblins anymore. And I think the whole point of him being a Goblin Slayer will be lost to some people who, because let's be fair, like there's some people out there that know this season one is out here, and they won't watch it, but something hype in the trailers of season two when it comes out will be like, oh my god, what is this anime? I gotta watch it. And then they'll watch season two, and it's called Goblin Slayer, and Goblin Slayer is gonna be fighting dragons and, you know, other monsters, kind of like how he did in this show. But you know, there were goblins involved at times. It's just there were other monsters in the way. But if he becomes an adventurer and he's literally going out to hunt these other types of monsters, not expecting goblins to be there, it just kind of destroys the show's title and the expectation of new fans. But if they aren't super crazy and, you know, starting the series from a really weird spot, they would know that Goblin Slayer literally has been slaying goblins for 12 straight episodes, you know. And then the second season comes around where he knows that there's some people out here that helped him do things and they never fight goblins. He might want to help them for helping him. So those are just some things you got to keep in mind with a show like this. I feel like if you're not open-minded to the Goblin Slayer becoming something more than a Goblin Slayer, you might not enjoy this show next season. But if you do, and you did enjoy some of these other characters that really didn't get that much time to shine, and I feel like they still have a good time, like there's still a chance for them all to shine, like the Guts, the girl with the shield, the guy with the spear, and the spellcaster. All of them seemed relatively very strong when it came down to even fighting hobgoblins or goblin champions, as they call them. And it just proves to you and the audience that there are characters out there that are, you know, living up to their ranks. But at the same time, we just saw that the girls that supposedly stopped the Demon Lord and they fight the ultimate of all ultimate things, when they saved the town, supposedly like the whole town like left out, you know, like they all were with Goblin Slayer, you know. So it just goes to show you that even a hero who is only fighting for a cause that he sees as just can somehow turn justice, or like it can turn into a bigger thing for everybody to understand, because at first no one really got it, and then you see how dangerous, smart, cunning, crazy, all these different things goblins can do and become is absolutely terrifying. And I'm so surprised that goblins aren't top priority for a lot more people to take out, and it makes sense why, because of how underhanded and like just disgusting goblins can be when it comes down to this anime. Like not a lot of like for instance, go to Sword Art and see how those goblins, handle things. Like they literally just get bodied, these goblins are out here faking death and sneaking up behind people and holding women up as human shields so people don't shoot arrows at them. I mean, they just use all the dirty tricks you could imagine, and I think that is what really brings these goblins far, far apart from the ones that we have ever like seen in previous shows. So I kind of like that aspect of create more for these types of monsters. Make a reason for why they're so strong or why they're so hated. And they got that all across through the first episode, in my opinion. And throughout this 12th episode, I'm still really happy these goblins are dying slow. Like that's just how they built up these characters to be disgustingly annoying, savage, all these different things. But seeing the Goblinslayer versus the Goblin Lord was kind of messed up, because Goblinslayer literally went to where the Goblin Lord was running to and killed every goblin there, and then went to fight the Goblin Lord, So for the Goblin Lord, I don't even think he understood that aspect of like, your whole kingdom is gone, bruh. Like, because he still seemingly wanted to get out of there, like he had something to run away from. But knowing this Goblin Lord and seeing how easily he was kind of doing things to Goblinslayer in the sense of the strength, the speed, and I mean, let's be honest, he might have had something even under wraps that we didn't see him use, like maybe some type of spell that he knew or something. So all of these different things that the Goblin Lord had, he still couldn't take out a weakened Goblinslayer who had just, or like at least maybe exhausted one. Because I mean, not only was Goblinslayer trying to get in, he just couldn't, because the Lord has seen so much. He's been through so much and learned so much that it wasn't going to be an easy fight for anybody. But the person who has slain goblins the most was supposed to have the easiest fight with them, and that's about as easy as it got, guys. So take that as you will. Sure, the Goblin Lord was pretty much the top level of goblins, and I think that's why it makes even more sense that Goblinslayer would become something more than just a Goblin Slayer now, because he's destroyed every variant of Goblin. So we know the difficulties and we know the strengths of them. So I have a feeling they're just going to incorporate goblins in their own way throughout the rest of the season, when he is hunting things that he doesn't necessarily want to hunt, and then stumbles upon some goblins that are in the area and just wrecks them or something. So overall, man, Goblinslayer episode 12 was amazing. Goblinslayer as a whole, pretty freaking dope. It had some weird CGI here and there, but overall, man, this anime was dope as hell. I can't stress it enough to know that we had an anime that literally almost got canceled in some people's eyes because they were trying to start petitions and they were trying to literally get Goblinslayer off any way, shape, or form. But they had to remember that these shows aren't as brutal as some of the shows that have already been out and that are already getting fandoms like dressing up as the characters that are doing some of the nasty stuff that they see in these other animes that are nothing compared to this one. So keep in mind that there are things worse than what Goblinslayer has shown in anime and mainstream anime, and that this is like what they showed and what they're gonna show probably in the next season probably still doesn't touch some of the stuff that I've seen. So if you were thinking Goblinslayer is the most like brutal and nasty and showing the worst stuff possible of all the animes, you're way off, and you got a lot more anime to watch because there are some way more brutal animes. There are some way more brutal shows. There's some even more non-human like shows that just like they just do things that humans would never do supposedly. And I think that's what people forget to understand is the only reason why the goblins were doing what they were doing was because they had, like, found out that humans do it too. You know, like they study humans and were envious of them, and they, as you can see, a goblin lord is starting to speak English just so he can get out of dying. Like they are not afraid to learn stuff from humans at all if it benefits them. And one of the things that benefited them is they can't reproduce their own kids, so why not just get one of these women that have been reproducing humans to reproduce your kids, you know? So crazy, crazy stuff with this show. And to know that it's coming back sooner or later, man, I am ecstatic. I am happy. That was all I was watching that end credit stuff for, was praying, and I was holding on to my chest. I was like, come on, announce it, announce it, announce it. It's announced. So with that, my anime people, thank you guys for the support through this series. We have finally came to the end of the 12 episodes, and like I've been saying in my previous videos, we got a lot more anime to come. So if there is some stuff that you guys want me checking out, I already got some shows that my buddies want me to do, so we already got them. But if you guys do say the same shows that they have offered me, I will let you know. And if you do tell me a new show, I will definitely check it out when it shows up. But I have another show that has something about a shield, like a guy who uses a shield, coming up pretty soon that I'm going to probably be talking a lot about. So I can't wait to see what this anime of 2019 has to bring us, because Goblinslayer wrote it all the way until 2018 and made sure he was a 2018 anime by ending in 2018. I love it. I love it. So if you guys love some Goblinslayer, and if you guys love some anime G, make sure you guys subscribe, and let me know by dropping a like as well, because if Goblinslayer ever shows back up, you know your boy is going to be on it talking about it. So make sure you're here at the channel to get all of that info and all of that reviews. And not only that, we will be talking about a whole bunch of anime until that time comes. So thank you so much, my anime people. It is time for me to make another video and then have some fun playing some video games. So with that, everybody, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, whatever the case is, and I will talk to you in the next one. So with that, peace.